Wild boar hunting has long been an essential part of life for many hunters. It's considered an effective way to protect crops and control one of the most destructive wild animals. Each hunting trip usually starts early in the morning and can stretch into the late afternoon, demanding patience, tight coordination, and sometimes a bit of luck. The chaotic barking of hunting dogs echoed across the empty field, and instantly catching the hunter's attention. Without hesitation, he followed the sound and just minutes later spotted a wild boar that had strayed into the crops. Trailing right behind were two fierce dogs, relentlessly harassing and cornering the boar. The situation was a golden opportunity. But the first shot didn't end the chase. The boar reacted in a flash, darting away with surprising speed. Drawing nearer, he found his moment. The wild boar collapsed on the spot, bringing a heart-pounding pursuit to an end. Wild boars are currently among the most dangerous invasive species in many countries, especially in the United States, Australia, and parts of Europe. With an extremely fast reproduction rate and devastating destructive power, these animals are estimated to cause over $2.5 billion in damages each year in the US alone, particularly in agriculture. They are highly intelligent, adapt well to various environments. Hunting dogs and firearms remain some of the most effective tools in rapid response eradication efforts, helping to temporarily reduce wild boar populations in hotspot areas. A dramatic wild boar hunt is unfolding in the rugged lands of Anadolu, led by a team of seasoned professional hunters. Wild boars are known for their speed and incredibly sharp reflexes. Then the gunshot breaks the silence, tearing through the still air. The wild boar takes a direct hit, writhing in pain. It's a moment that showcases an astonishing level of precision from the hunter. Hunting wild boars is no different from a real-life survival game. Seasoned hunters are like master-level gamers, facing off against a tough opponent. Wild boars that are fast, numerous, without calm nerves and sharp judgment. Hitting your mark becomes nearly impossible. And yet, these hunters can bring it down with a single deadly shot. Like the elite skills of a top-tier gamer, but this isn't a simulation. This is 100% real, where every decision leads to a real consequence. Across the vast open field, the hunters set out once again, accompanied by their loyal, battle-hardened hunting dogs. But this time, the mission goes beyond just hunting. Their goal carries a greater purpose: to protect the cornfields, now heavily ravaged by wild boars. A wild boar was fleeing in panic, a desperate sprint to escape the relentless pursuit of the hunter. Every step it took was soaked in fear, but that hope was fleeting. A single gunshot rang out swift, the boar collapsed, writhing in its final moments before silence reclaimed the field. The hunt ended as quickly as it had begun. The result? A hunt more successful than anyone could have hoped for. This wild boar hunt wasn't just an ordinary hunting trip, it was a vital part of a broader effort to control and push back a threat that directly endangers agriculture.
The short days in Greece have given me countless unforgettable experiences. One of them is the wild boar hunting trip in the Erymanthus Mountains in the freezing winter. Here, natural predators are becoming increasingly rare, causing the wild boar population to grow uncontrollably. I, along with a few friends, set out on this hunting trip. From this experience, I understood why the Greeks still keep the tradition of wild boar hunting as an integral part of their life. After a simple breakfast, we sat in a familiar vehicle and headed towards the Erymanthus Mountains in western Peloponnese. It was the wild boar mating season, so they were moving around more, providing favorable conditions for hunting. Thanks to the snow, we could easily track the boars' whereabouts. I closely followed their tracks, moving quickly as a feeling told me the prey was very near. And sure enough, a dark shape came rushing down from the opposite mountain slope. I fired in time, one clean shot. The boar fell and slid down the slope. However, I moved closer and fired another shot because, in the forest, certainty is always the most reliable companion. Not far from me, Gilbert was also in position, continuously firing when a whole herd of wild boars appeared unexpectedly. However, the boars weren't easy to handle. They ran like the wind, weaving through thick tree trunks in a maze-like manner. Even though Gilbert tried to stay close, it was really difficult to aim under these conditions, and in the blink of an eye, the entire herd vanished from sight as quickly as they had appeared. After about half an hour of moving, we had reached near the summit of the mountain. While still on the move, Gilbert and I noticed unusual movements from the trees beside us. Hunting instinct urged me to immediately raise my rifle and squeeze the trigger before the wild boar disappeared into the brush. And with just one shot, the target was neatly taken down. A quick, efficient shot, just the way I like it. Upon reaching the mountaintop, the air became even colder, and the snow beneath our feet grew thicker, but the sound of barking dogs echoed like a reminder that we couldn't stop. In the blink of an eye, a dark figure suddenly appeared. Gilbert steadied his rifle and fired a decisive shot. With the close distance, this time the boar couldn't escape. The race with the wild boars became more intense than ever before. Seizing every moment and every opportunity, we continued our hunt that afternoon. The hounds remained by our side, helping the team locate new targets. The snowstorm thickened, and we had to move down for safety. We set up a temporary small tent, and I sat waiting for my teammates to return. While sitting alone in the silence, the sound of the hounds and gunshots from afar woke me up to immediately raise my rifle. I aimed and fired decisively. The boar collapsed in the midst of the heavy snowfall. I had completed an unexpected hunt. The rain stopped, and under the gloomy sky, I still pressed on, looking for the last targets of the day. Hiding behind some wild branches, I silently observed the wild boar's movements. Waiting for it to reach the right position, I gently raised my rifle and took a decisive shot to end the chase. After the shot rang out, the wild boar fell, marking the end of this challenging hunting trip. The challenges we faced throughout the journey were not only about hunting, but also lessons in patience and determination. Thank you for joining us on this trip. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to support the channel. Meticulous planning is always the first and most crucial step to ensure a successful hunting trip. Only after the do we begin moving into the ambush position. With careful observation and attentive listening to even the slightest sounds, the team finally spots the first target. A fierce wild boar with coarse, bristly hair charges forward, darting in and out among the large tree trunks. Once the target enters my scope, I immediately pull the trigger. The bullet flies straight and hits the boar's body directly, bringing it down after just a few staggering steps. Less than 5 minutes later, a few more wild boars suddenly rush down. The moment they pause and then change direction, the whole team opens fire in a flurry. But the boars are incredibly agile. They manage to weave through the hail of bullets and escape. Under the fierce pursuit of the hunting dogs, a few more wild boars begin to appear. My gun is ready. I take careful aim and gently squeeze the trigger. Bang! A single, decisive shot. The boar loses its footing, slides across the dry leaf bed, and collapses. A lightning-fast shot. With a great start, the whole team eagerly pushes forward. As we follow a narrow trail, a dark shadow suddenly darts out from the roadside bushes. Without hesitation, I raise the rifle and fire. The boar is hit and drops instantly. But the real shock is yet to come. A whole herd of wild boars suddenly bursts out, taking us completely by surprise. The team fires simultaneously from various positions. Gunshots echo thunderously, shattering the forest's silence. Several wild boars are taken down right on the spot. Just minutes later, yet another herd charges out, this time even larger and more aggressive. Big ones, small ones, all rushing wildly. I hold my rifle steady and fire, but only one boar is taken down. Following the tracks, we head toward a cluster of nearby trees. A face-to-face confrontation breaks out in an instant. The shot is fired, and the boar is hit before it can even react, collapsing to the ground immediately. The forest returns to its usual silence, but our team remains on high alert. Gunfire rings out again, this time from Basil's position. Facing a marksman as seasoned as Basil, the boar had no chance of escape. I move westward, make myself a concealed hideout, and wait patiently. From behind thick trees, a few wild boars quietly emerge, moving slowly and cautiously. I only have one shot. I quickly pull the trigger. One shot, one kill. The large boar collapses heavily onto the ground. The next opportunity comes unexpectedly. A medium-sized boar rushes straight at us. With another single shot, Basil drops it instantly. As we exit the forest, we suddenly hear rustling from the roadside bushes. I nervously raise my gun, waiting for the prey to reveal itself. In a flash, a dark shape lunges out. Without thinking, I pull the trigger. 3 rapid shots. The boar lies motionless on the ground. That wraps up today's video. What do you think about this hunting trip? Leave your thoughts in the comments below. And don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to catch more thrilling hunts ahead. It all started with a surprise call from my best friend inviting me to join a wild boar hunt in Tajikistan. From the faraway state of Texas in the United States, the long flight took me to an unprecedented journey. Everything was new, from the climate, the terrain to the way the boars moved through the mountains and forests. Come join me on my first hunt in this challenging and surprising land. From a height of 400 m, our binoculars captured a large herd of nearly 10 wild boars. We decided to move down, keeping a distance of 150 m from the pigs for easier access and better shooting range. Once in position, I quickly adjusted the scope and targeted the target. With just one pull of the trigger, the pig immediately fell backwards and stopped moving immediately. Oh, I didn't think it was that big. It was a hopeful start when I set foot in Tajikistan. Very soon, another herd of pigs was found to the surprise of the whole team. Quickly getting into position, I crouched down, looking through the scope to mark the target. A sharp gunshot rang out, causing the prey to immediately tumble and roll down. The remaining group quickly ran away in extreme fear. Perfect. We couldn't believe how quickly and smoothly everything happened. The whole team decided to change tactics, dividing up to stand at different points to cover a wider area. Standing there observing, my eyes fell upon a herd of wild boars. Without hesitation, I hurriedly ran forward to get a better look. The explosion made the pigs panic and run away. I aimed my gun at a stray wild boar and fired repeatedly. However, the pigs were too fast. They quickly dispersed and escaped. In regret for missing the previous opportunity, I started walking around looking for other targets. 10 minutes passed like that, until a wild boar suddenly charged up from the foot of the mountain. The hunter's instincts immediately arose. I quickly raised my gun and delivered a fatal blow. Immediately, the pig collapsed and rolled down the ravine. The clash happened unexpectedly, but luckily I kept my cool and focused enough to bring back the next result. In the afternoon, we moved on to another mountain, hoping to find more opportunities. We didn't have to wait long before the herd of pigs revealed themselves and were quickly discovered. The whole herd was rushing down the mountain. I know time is running out. If I don't act quickly, the opportunity will be gone. Immediately after the gunshot, the whole group started to turn in other directions. Each of them ran away in fear. We didn't give up, immediately reloaded and fired continuously. Luckily, before they completely disappeared, I took down one. Just when everything seemed under control, suddenly from the bushes, another pig rushed out, taking us completely by surprise. The group had no time to react, hastily retreated, quickly finding a defensive position to prepare to deal with it. In that tense moment, a gunshot rang out, decisive and accurate, taking down the pig before it could reach us. The sudden appearance of the wild boar just now startled the whole group a bit, but after a moment, we regained our composure and continued moving forward. The small binoculars came into play again. A few pigs emerged from the bushes. We lay prone on the ground, slowly adjusting our aim. Focus to the max, lock on the target and pull the trigger. A shot from behind causes a boar to collapse in an instant. A perfect shot ends a dramatic hunting trip. The hunting trip ends here. Thank you for joining us on this journey. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to support the channel. The Rio Grande Valley, with its dense terrain and abundant water sources, is the perfect habitat for wild boars to thrive. That's why this place is always a hotspot for thrilling night hunts. I came here not just to challenge myself, but to face off against some of the fiercest beasts in the southern United States. Join us as we begin this intense journey. Early in the morning, we arrived at the hunting site. All team members quickly checked their weapons before officially entering the battle. It didn't take long before we were met with a tense scene. A whole herd of wild boars of all sizes suddenly dashed across the trail ahead. We immediately released the hunting dogs to surround them and quietly moved in. As we got closer, the only female hunter in the team locked onto a target and fired. But the boar was too fast, causing the first shot to miss. Not letting it escape, I quickly chased after it, cutting off its path and fired a single shot. Fortunately, it was strong enough to bring the boar down shortly after. Silently hiding, we waited with the patience of seasoned hunters. Before long, the wild boar unexpectedly appeared in our sights. In a good position, I immediately pulled the trigger and fired multiple shots. But the tough creature kept running. I quickly gave chase and ended the pursuit with a decisive final shot. Fueled by success, the team climbed straight up the hill ahead. Beneath the thick canopy of old trees, a wild boar suddenly dashed past. I didn't hesitate, fired with confidence. The shot landed, causing the boar to tumble several times down the slope before lying still. We continued scanning and soon spotted another group of wild boars. Tracking the trail, I chased the boar all the way to the grassy field below. Just as it paused for a brief moment, I seized the opportunity, pulled the trigger and brought the chase to a swift end. On the way back, a wild boar suddenly appeared. I immediately jumped out of the vehicle, gun in hand, and positioned myself to intercept. Without a moment's delay, I fired a clean, decisive shot. The boar collapsed instantly, ending the unexpected encounter. Our hunting day wrapped up with pride-worthy results. Early the next morning, we regrouped, reviewed the plan, and headed to the next hunting spot, a hill with sparse trees and a clearer line of sight. Not far in, I spotted the first target. Calmly steadying my rifle, I fired. Just one opening shot, and the boar dropped immediately. We drove onto a flat stretch and released the hunting dogs. They quickly caught the scent and tracked down a boar. I rushed into position, locked onto the target, and fired. Not bad. A single shot was all it took to bring down the boar. Soon after, the team located another wild boar, large and muscular, but the two fell to my swift, well-placed shot. A fairly large boar attempted to cross to the other side of the forest. I raised my rifle and fired. The boar was quickly brought down. The hunt escalated in scale. Thanks to the dog's pursuit, we spotted more wild boars with bristly black coats on the run. In the end, our efforts were rewarded. Several more boars were successfully taken down. As the hunt came to a close, the exhaustion was outweighed by the deep sense of accomplishment. Thank you for joining us on this wild adventure. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to support the channel.